All right, let's dive in. Today, we're becoming digital detectives. We're going to crack a case, but the clues? They're hidden deep inside a network's traffic. So let's head to the scene of the crime.
Picture this. It's late. You're in a university lab, totally empty. But the network, it's not sleeping. Something just feels off, you know? That digital hum of the servers, it sounds wrong. And the network admin, they've got that gut feeling that they're not alone on the system.
Okay, and here we go, our first set of clues. The logs are showing a huge spike in traffic right when the lab should be dead quiet. We're also seeing a storm of failed login attempts. It's like someone's just rattling every single doorknob. And the real kicker? Data is flowing to IP addresses that have no business being here. So you see, these are just the symptoms. The real story, who's doing this and what they want, that's all hidden in the raw data packets zipping through the network. So that leads us to the big question, the one we have to answer. What's actually hiding in all that traffic?
So we've got ourselves a real network mystery. And any good detective will tell you you can't solve the case without the right tools. And for us, our magnifying glass, our fingerprint kit, our whole forensics lab, it's all rolled into one amazing tool. The tool for this job? It's called Wireshark.
So what is Wireshark? Well, its official title is a Network Protocol Analyzer. But think of it this way. It basically records all the digital conversations happening on a network and lets us read them one piece at a time. It literally makes the invisible visible, and that's exactly what a detective needs.
And listen, this isn't just some neat trick for a class. This is the real deal. It's at the absolute core of what cybersecurity pros do day in and day out. They live in this stuff, scrutinizing traffic to hunt down threats and protect our data. It's a non-negotiable, fundamental skill. All right, we've got our tool. So just like in any investigation, the very first step is to gather the evidence. And in our world, that means grabbing that raw data before it vanishes into thin air. Getting this data, or capturing packets, is actually pretty straightforward. First up, you just tell Wireshark where to listen. You select your interface, maybe your Wi-Fi, maybe an Ethernet cable. Next, you gotta realize a busy network is like a fire hose of data. So we apply a filter to cut down on the noise. For instance, we could just say, hey, only show me the TCP traffic. And then you hit start. And just like that, you're collecting digital evidence. Okay, we've got the goods. The data is in hand. Now the real detective work starts. We're not just collecting evidence anymore. Nope, we're analyzing it. We're looking for patterns, for digital fingerprints, for anything that just doesn't belong. A good place to start is with a specific protocol called DNS. The easiest way to think about DNS is that it's the internet's phone book. Seriously. When you type a website like google.com into your browser, DNS is the thing that looks it up and finds the actual IP address, the server's phone number, basically. So, putting our detective hats back on, how can we use this phone book against a bad guy? What kind of clues do you think an attacker might leave behind in those DNS logs?
Well, it gives us a pretty clear checklist of red flags to look for. For instance, if you suddenly see a flood of DNS requests out of nowhere, that could be a compromised machine trying to phone home to his puppet master. And if you see lookups for really weird or shady-sounding domain names, that's a classic textbook sign of a phishing attack or a malware infection.
Okay, let's switch gears to another protocol, ARP. So if DNS is the internet's phone book, ARP is more like the local office directory. It works inside our university lab network, and its job is to connect a device's digital IP address to its physical hardware address, known as a MAC address.
On the surface, this just sounds like a simple, helpful directory, right? Harmless. But how could an attacker twist this system for their own gain? How could they weaponize this little office directory?
It's actually pretty sneaky. They lie. An attacker can just start shouting fake ARP messages across the network, basically saying, hey everyone, I'm the router now. This trick is called ARP spoofing, and it forces all the traffic to go through their machine first. This lets them read, intercept, and mess with everything. They become a person in the middle, and that is very, very bad. Okay, we've gathered the evidence. We've analyzed the clues. Now it's time for the big reveal. Let's start connecting these digital fingerprints to actual, specific threats and finally unmask what's been going on here. So look, on one side you have what a normal, healthy network looks like. Predictable, boring, standard stuff. But on the other side, well, that's our crime scene. Remember those anomalies from the beginning?
The weird traffic surges, all those login failures, the sketchy connections, they're not just suspicions anymore. They are hard evidence of a threat. And this is where all clicks into place. We connect the dots. All those failed login attempts we saw, textbook brute force attack. That huge, unusual spike of data leaving the network, that screams data exfiltration, someone stealing files. And those DNS requests to malicious websites, that is the classic calling card of phishing or malware. Boom, we've identified our threats.
So, we've figured out the what and the how. But a good detective knows the job isn't over until the report is written. It's time to close this case. And just finding the threat isn't enough. You have to write a solid professional report. It's absolutely critical. You need to lay out your findings clearly, export the raw data as proof, give a clear summary of the issues, use screenshots to show your evidence, and, this is the most important part, propose actual solutions to fix the problem and stop it from ever happening again. You know, when you boil it all down, everything we just did, the capturing, the filtering, the analyzing, it's not just a random collection of tricks. It all adds up to one single, absolutely essential skill for anyone who's serious about a career in cybersecurity. Because here's the thing, mastering packet analysis with a tool like Wireshark, it's not really about learning a piece of software. It's about developing a way of thinking. It's about building up those analytical muscles that are just crucial for a long and successful career protecting our digital world. So, we cracked this case together. But think about it. The networks all around us, right now, are constantly talking, whispering secrets back and forth. We've given you the tools, we've shown you the method, so the only question left for you is this. Now that you know how to look, what are you going to find?